Hello, this is Star Television on Channel 21. Welcome to our top stories, making the national news bulletin. I am Leonora Jawara. First, we'll have a look at the headlines. Forum of Islamic Organization for Peaceful Coexistence celebrates the birth of Prophet Muhammad, known as Maulud Nabi, emphasized the need for peaceful coexistence.
The birth of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. As an all-king member, we at the Interreligious Council, we main value now for promote peace and harmony, regardless of the religious differences within the two.
Senior management in the Ministry of Defense and ASLEF witnessed the symbolic rice harvest by the Armed Forces Agricultural Unit in Kenema, Mano Dase, Moyomba District.
His Excellency the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Brigadier Retired Dr. Julius Maada Bio's vision with food security or food self-sufficiency. The military is also committed in ensuring that we mechanize our agricultural unit.
WaterAid Sierra Leone joins the world to commemorate Global Hand Washing Day with series of activities.
Has taken the lead, as rightly as we should, to celebrate Global Hand Washing Day, a day that commemorates the lack of access to hand washing with soap for almost 1.9 billion people around the world.
And all this making the headlines. And now the news in detail. As Monday, 18th October, marks exactly 1,500 years since the birth of Prophet Muhammad, known as Maulud Nabi, the Forum of Islamic Organization for Peaceful Coexistence has celebrated the birth of the Prophet and emphasized the need for peaceful coexistence. The celebration was held at the Taylor Cummins Garden, adjacent the Cotton Tree. Alfie Bayi was there and he fastened this report.
This is how the celebration of the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, commenced at the landmark Cotton Tree, in which the Vice President of the Forum of Islamic Organization for Peaceful Coexistence, Hajjah Ambassador Alari Cole, described the Prophet Muhammad as a man of immaculate qualities.
Say we look up to him as the best example. There are many of his traits where we for copy. And if we copy him, plenty of these where they take place in this country and the world not will take place. Either some of we know they do with duty as parents, or the sheikhs they know they do their duty for preach the correct thing and the member, or we self know they show we self as examples of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now that don't bring this deterioration in our country, where we all they see. And like I said yesterday, the day before, if we as Muslims are proud to say we are 70+% in this country, then plenty of, if we do our roles properly, then waiting they obtain, not for obtain. Because let us look at the life of Prophet Muhammad. Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. When he didn't mama in Bele in Papa died. When he mama born 6 years, he mama died. He go to his grandpa Abu Muttalib, he go men day. His grandpa died. He go to his uncle Abu Talib, he go men day. So men picking and orphanage in a team where we for proud of.
Alhaji Murtada Sise, the Vice President of the Interreligious Council, underscored the need for the Islamic community to set aside their outstanding differences and focus on the greater things that unite them.
To the world, through the birth of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. As an all-king member, we at the Interreligious Council, we main value now for promote peace and harmony, regardless of the religious differences within the two. And for this, we tell the Almighty Allah, thank you that this will country here. because they bless me in a unique way. We live together amicably. No matter what the problems, we try to find ways to solve them. And we pray, say, this Allah to continue to bless the country in that way. As being a Muslim, I want to let you know, say, aware say differences there, even for how or whether we can celebrate this day. But whether there differences the day or not, enough will make we go into conflict.
The keynote speaker, the Minister of Social Welfare, Bendu Dasama Kamara, pinpointed the remarkable character traits of the Prophet Muhammad, stating that the Muslim community has always been versatile in promoting the activities of the government.
The pride of humanity, real holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was born. Muhammad, the Prophet, fully established the rights and responsibilities of every sector of humanity, as men and women, picking them and parent them, the gentleman and the poor one them, the sick, the one that were well, the one that were in a prison, the one that were in captivity and the custodians, relatives and then party them, the neighbor them, the rulers, the subjects, the servants and their masters, the young and the old, the student and the teacher, man and the environment, and the right of follow your own choice of religion. Going through this list just bring me back to what I just said and one of the speakers been said. I don't work with the Muslim community since my appointment, and I don't really know say now a group where versatile in everything where government really wants to do. Like he said, if you can't do deforestation, we'll get to the work for work on the one. Climate change, peaceful coexistence, gender equality, the list will go on. People will begin and say, respecting one another.
For Star TV News in Freetown, Alfie Barry reporting.
Senior management in the Ministry of Defense and the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces, led by the Deputy Minister of Defense, retired Colonel Murana Massaquoi, accompanied by the Commander Joint Force Major General Peter K. Lavahun, have witnessed a symbolic rice harvest by the Armed Forces Agricultural Unit at Kenema, Manodase in the Moyamba district. The exercise, according to Colonel Murana Massaquoi, is a drive towards attaining food self-sufficiency for service personnel in the armed forces and delaying from the huge cost of rice purchase that is causing a huge expenditure for the government. A defense correspondent, Abdulrahman Kamara, witnessed the exercise and calls in with his report.
Senior management in the Ministry of Defense and the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces, led by the Deputy Minister of Defense, retired Colonel Murana Massaquoi, accompanied by the Commander Joint Force, Major General Peter K. Lavahun, have witnessed a symbolic rice harvest by the Armed Forces Agricultural Unit at Kenema Village, Manodase in the Moyamba District, Southern Region. The exercise, according to Colonel Murana Massaquoi, is a drive towards attaining food self-sufficiency for service personnel in the armed forces and the linking from the huge cost of rice purchase that is costing huge expenditure for the government.
But the wider anticipation is for the RSLAF to produce food to support the entire military and probably dispose the excesses through marketing to the public. This was a mere seed multiplication project. It is a pilot project, but actually intended to raise seeds so that we can establish our farm site at Komrabai Mamila and also exhaust the land space that has been approved for us here. We are assured of 2,000 to 5,000 hectares of farmland.
On his part, the Commander Joint Force, Major General Peter K. Lavahun, intimated that the vision of the military is always tied to the overall vision of the government in achieving food self-sufficiency, though he noted some of the challenges that weigh down the speed of growth and the development of a farm field on rice production and productivity, but expressed optimism that with the private-public partnership, the PPP, the objective of the military will be achieved.
So this is Kenema Village. Also we get the Armed Forces Agricultural Unit detachment farm. With vision, with the capture out of the national vision with the president on set. Actually, first of all, more food than not, you realize that the president did talk about human capital development, and food self-sufficiency is one of the key items that we look at. And so you realize that the Aslav, generally they consume a lot of rice annually, but then we think, say, because of how the expertise will get, we need to come on board and begin to provide and produce food for ourselves, rice for ourselves, for we really armed forces, and where possible, we really extend them to the rest of the community around the country.
The Deputy Minister of Defense, retired Colonel Murana Massaquoi, reiterated government commitment in pursuing policies of human capital development, as well as addressing the challenges associated with food self-sufficiency.
His Excellency the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Brigadier Retired Dr. Julius Maada Bio's vision with food security or food self-sufficiency. The military is also committed in ensuring that we mechanize our agricultural unit so that we can assist government in food security. The reason why I'm saying that is that government is spending a lot of money on rice. Every soldier is entitled to a bag of rice at the end of the month, which results or amounts to 9,795 bags. And that, if you quantify it into monetary, it's about 2.5 billion leones. And if you multiply that by 12 months, you are talking about 34 to 35,000 billion or 35 billion leones, which is huge. So if we can assist or involve in rice cultivation, I think we are contributing to national development.
In 1986, the Armed Forces Agricultural Unit, one of the units and formation of the ARSLAV, was established principally to embark on rice production and productivity. But this came to a halt when in 1992, the war broke out that witnessed the dysfunctioning of the unit until 2002, when senior management of the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces decided to have the unit re-established, with Komarabai Mamela being the biggest of the farm field across the country, with approximately 2,000 acres of rice field. Abdul Rahman Kama reporting.
WaterAid Sierra Leone has on the 15th of October joined the world to commemorate the Global Hand Washing Day with series of activities. The day witnessed display of hand washing demonstrations in various operational communities at the office in Aberdeen, Freetown. Admire Samai reports.
Speaking on this important day, the country director, WaterAid Sierra Leone, Patrick Che, said the hand washing with soap is critical as the world is still in the middle of COVID-19. The day is important as it serves as part of efforts to raise awareness on the importance of hand washing. He further stated that WaterAid Sierra Leone will continue to use its advocacy platform in this direction as part of raising awareness and also pushing government's policies in this direction.
Has taken the lead, as rightly as we should, to celebrate Global Hand Washing Day, a day that commemorates the lack of access to hand washing with soap for almost 1.9 billion people around the world, and what it means if they do have access to hand washing with soap. In as much as we are celebrating the day with several events, we also like to express that the demands that we make around the table here today will be far-reaching with your different dailies and publications in different news outlets. Thus, we thought it wise to have our press conference to highlight the issues of the day, which is the theme, our hands, our future, and how do we work with the government, the national government, to begin to look at ways to inculcate hand washing within public institutions, healthcare facilities, schools, marketplaces, stadiums, you name it. Because we know that the effect of having access to hand washing with soap is tremendous. We had come off from the COVID-19. When the second wave ended, we launched our hand and menstrual hygiene practice in school research. And so here's a copy of the research. This research was completed by a consultant here in Sierra Leone.
The Senior Program and Advocacy Manager, Christian Lawrence, while reading the press statement, said just in 10 days, global smartphone sales revenue will cover the cost of ensuring the world's poorest can wash their hands at home with soap and water. He noted that in Sierra Leone, 81% of people don't have somewhere to wash their hands with soap and clean water in their home, which a new report by WHO and UNICEF released on Global Hand Washing Day reveals that giving everyone in the world's poorest countries access to hand washing with soap and water, which will cost around $11 million, that will transform the life chance of people who are currently unable to simply wash their hands at home.
Will cover the cost of ensuring the world's poorest can wash their hands at home with soap and water. That's from WaterAid. Just 10 days of smartphone sales will cover $11 billion, cost of ensuring everyone in the poorest countries could wash their hands with soap and water at home by 2030, WaterAid said today. In Sierra Leone, 81% of people, that is over 6 million, don't have somewhere to wash their hands with soap and clean water in their home. A new report by WHO and UNICEF, released today, 15th of October, reveals that giving everyone in the world's poorest countries access to hand washing with soap and water would cost around $11 billion. That will transform the life chances of people who are currently unable to simply wash their hands at home. Millions of lives could be saved and billions of dollars in untapped economic potential could be unlocked for the equivalent of just $1.40 per head of the global population, says WaterAid.
Admire Samai reporting for Star TV News.
The Milton Magai Technical University, with support from UNICEF, Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, and the Global Partnership for Education, have unanimously resolved to support early childhood education with the training of teachers and provision of logistics like curriculum development, teaching and learning materials. Judge Elliot Sam tells us more.
The Milton Magai Technical University, with support from the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, and the Global Partnership for Education, have unanimously resolved to support early childhood education with the training of teachers and provision of logistics like curriculum development, teaching and learning materials, scholarship and stipends for the ECD students for the early childhood development centers in the country. Emmanuel Ali, the National Coordinator, Global Partnership for Education, Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, commended the principal of the Milton Magai Technical University, Dr. Philip John Kanu, for approaching education from a practical view. Informed that the ministry recently appointed a task force to restructure the teaching and learning of music, art and craft and creativity. Recalled recent commissioning of the ECD centers in Makeni and underscore the need for the ministry to partner with the Milton Magai Technical University to develop ECD centers, since the Global Partnership Education will soon cease its support to them.
And since we had that bilateral conversation, as an outcome of that meeting, we decided we would engage a much broader community. UNICEF, the ministry, the university, and all of its components. And this is what brings us here today, to generate new ideas, collaborate around the central thesis of our conversation, which was creating modules and training these teachers and seeing how we can support, or how UNICEF can even support the program here. So this is what brings us here today.
The principal of the Milton Magai Technical University, Dr. Philip John Kanu, welcomed the partnership, revealed that the college is a premier teaching training center in the country, observed that there are ECD centers nationwide, but lamented that making them useful is the challenge, underscored that the business of the college is to train teachers, greeting most of the directors in the ministry as product of the college, and that the principals from all over the country recruited teachers from the college. Dr. Philip John Kanu further informed that the college will redesign programs to attract students in music, art, and craft and creativity.
We have these centers around the country now, but these centers have been constructed for Sierra Leoneans. How can we make them useful? And we are in the business of training teachers. That's our business. All what you've said, that was actually what happened, and that is why you see a mixture of the people in this hall.
Suman Shedra, education specialist, Global Partnership Education for UNICEF, articulated that early childhood education is the foundation of learning, underlined that teachers need a lot of support for learning outcome and better future for nation building, but reiterated that they must be trained and qualified. She also described the partnership as a huge opportunity for schools.
I would say what I actually speak from my heart about teachers. I think each one of us who is sitting here, in whatever position that we have, absolutely owes it to the teachers who have brought us up. Absolutely. So to my mind, teachers are extremely critical for nation building. And they are the ones on which nations can rest and say that, well, okay, if we need a certain kind of a development, be it economic, personal, professional, citizenship, it is through the teachers that they can make this difference. So in that spirit, I think it's a very, very important work that the university is doing.
The Vice Principal and Director of Studies at the Milton Magai Technical University, Dr. Muhammad Ali Jallo, reiterated that partnership is key to the Milton Magai Technical University that is now at the threshold of becoming a technical university, but lamented that the college had a troubled history, but for the appointment of Dr. Philip John Kanu, who has transformed the institution to an enviable status within 3 years.
If UNICEF is coming in and the Ministry of Education is coming in for a partnership, I think it's a most welcome development. Until recently, MBSSE was our supervising ministry. And also we have had an excellent working relationship with UNICEF over time. Down the years, UNICEF has supported us to do what is called the cluster monitoring of teachers in the schools there. In fact, they donated the hardtop Toyota to us. I think it's still around us in the college here.
Highlights of the event were the PowerPoint presentation on the status of the early childhood education at the Milton Magai Technical University by Fatima Tarida, during which she enlightened that research revealed that children who go through early childhood education are likely to go through university, have money, less likely to commit felony and other advantages. For Star News in Freetown, I am George Elliott Sam reporting.
You're still watching the National News Bulletin here on Star TV. Now, the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, SLAJ, has on Saturday, October 16th, participated in an annual beach cleaning exercise supported by the European Union in Sierra Leone. Alfie Barry reports.
As the call for environmental sanctity grows louder, Sierra Leone being part of the global community who is equally susceptible to climate change, and despite the fact that we are blessed with natural beaches, but the common phenomena on these beaches have been it littered with plastics and seaweeds, which is very dangerous for our biodiversity. In a bid to raise the alarm bell, which seemed to be the new normal, The Sierra Leone Association of Journalists and the European Union has on Saturday embarked on a massive cleaning of the beach, of which the casually dressed mayor of the capital, Yvonne Akintoye, was present.
It's a real pleasure to be here. We do this every year. We come alongside the EU and we do something that we all know is symbolic. We know that what we're doing today is not solving the problem. It's just highlighting the importance of us keeping our environment and particularly the oceans clean. One of the things that everyone talks about that I see a lot on Facebook is what's the city council doing about recycling. So let me use this platform to say that we have, after 2 years of looking, found a partner that we think is credible and sustainable, and we very much hope that by January we will start a recycling program for plastic in the city. So in order for us to make the symbolic real, there's a lot of work that needs to go on behind the scenes. That work is done by the FCC, it's also done by the central government. But most importantly, that work is done by me and you as Fritonians. So as I do, I'm not going to hold this mic for much longer, but as I do whenever I hold a mic and I'm in front of the wonderful residents of the city that I am so honored to serve, I ask you, who is collecting your waste? Let me watch. I want assurance from everyone here that you are using a registered waste provider from FCC.
Newly appointed European Union Ambassador to Sierra Leone, Manuel Muller, noted that this symbolic cleaning exercise is aimed at underscoring the need for effective plastic management.
As European Union, together with the Freetown City Council and the National Tourism Board, and many friends who help us, is first and foremost an important symbolic act, which is done on a worldwide basis by EU delegations all over the world. We need to know that each minute the quantity of 1 lorry of plastic goes into the ocean. Of course, to collect all that, it would be a big effort, and therefore I would like to send out the message that preventing the use of plastic also is important. If you use less plastic, you have less plastic around, and the second thing is to put the plastic into the recycling or into the relevant dustbin areas and not just on the beach, in the water or somewhere else, because when you get there, then in the water, you get microplastics from that.
The president of the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, Ahmed Said Nasrallah, said that it is part of their responsibility as an umbrella body for journalists to raise awareness about the need for healthy environmental practices.
We all should be concerned about climate change, because it is affecting the whole world, not only Sierra Leone, and we are more vulnerable as a nation. So as media people, as professionals in the media, we need to be concerned, and we need to play our own part to raise the awareness and to push for action, and also to track policies and do advocacy around climate change issues. So that is a role we are playing. So when we learned about the EU annual EU beach cleanup event, we participated last year, and this year we decided to support the program, coming with our own teams and coming with our own food and drinks, and also ensuring that we play our own part. It is just symbolic, and whatever we do today, we're not going to clean the beach, but we are sending a clear message that the ocean is important, there is life in the marine, and we need to encourage people not to litter the ocean, and in order to ensure that all the lives in the marine flourish, because we depend on them, and they also depend on us.
For Star TV News in Freetown, Alfie Barry reporting.
The Movement Against Inequality Sierra Leone, in partnership with Oxfam, has launched the West Africa Commitment to Reduce Inequality Index. The launch was done at the Institute of Governance Reform Office, Wilkinson Award in Freetown. Admaya Samai has more.
The chairman of the occasion, Abib Kouma, said the government has committed itself to reducing inequality and that civil society is also working to complement government's efforts.
We went out of this country, a very big meeting, making commitment
to reduce inequality. And this year again, he was at UN meeting, making commitment to reduce inequality. So as for us, on behalf of our partner Oxfam, we believe that it's something we need to complement the work of the government by doing our bit, calling on governments, sectors in the government to practicalize what their president, our president, your president has said out of Sierra Leone, how we can make sure that inequality is being reduced. They have been saying women issues, youth issues, persons with disability issues, but the social justice, social services given to all Sierra Leoneans is something that's what actually we want to focus our attention to.
Giving the overview of the report, Noureddin of Oxfam said Sierra Leone is ranked 13 in reducing inequality, which the country has been doing well, but much needed to be done. He noted that take-home salaries of most public sector workers are low as compared to other public sector workers doing almost the same job. He further stated that Sierra Leone has done well in responding to COVID-19 with support to the social sector.
It was ranked as the 13th. This committed country in the sub-region out of 16 countries in the sub-region. Previously, we were way below. We are top from bottom or second from the bottom. And this is the second green at the regional level that we are launching. We have had several commitments to reducing the inequality index globally. We have about 3. And out of 153 countries that we are actually targeted and analyzed, Sierra Leone had improved greatly, but we are still below. And an overview of the commitment of West African governments to reduce inequality, you realize that Sierra Leone, where the West African region had done badly compared to the other regional countries.
Launching of the report, Dr. Shekhar Bangura from the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development said inequality is perhaps the greatest challenge faced by Sierra Leone as a country. This challenge, he said, is right across the globe and that COVID-19 has amplified the situation, which the government is committed to reducing inequality, and that the goal 10 of SDGs speaks to that.
Inequality is perhaps the greatest development challenge we all face, and it's not just for the developing world or the countries. Even for the developed countries, it's quite a challenge generally for the world in the whole world. As my brother was presenting this report, I was just trying to reconfirm with some of the figures we have when we talk about inequality at the global level. That the top 1% of the global households are holding about 43% of the global wealth. Top 1%, of the global households. And of course, those other ministries and the government in general, that it pleases me, so much, and that I'm privileged, to be here, and that I have the honor to launch this very important report. Sierra Leone commitment to reducing inequality index 2021.
Admire Samai reporting for Star TV News.
Now, youth participation in community development has been viewed as one of the most effective methods of promoting young people's active engagement with social services. The magazine quotes Brotherhood Association, a squad youth group who believes that young people will have the ability to lead the development in their communities. As part of their community response to help address some of their complex challenges faced in their community, the association have dedicated themselves with effective maintenance of feeder routes within the community, providing security in the form of neighborhood watch, and giving assistance to the elderly and the aged. The magazine Court Brotherhood Association is an association that caters for the welfare of the community. It focuses on assisting community people and develop the community through the provision of skills and more, thereby creating a conducive atmosphere for all to live and coexist without fear. Well, that's all we have for you today in a National News Bulletin 5. Thank you for watching. Happy holidays. I am Leonardo Jona. Stay with us for more interesting programs coming up.